Being a builder gives you a strange kind of authority. You spend your days turning dirt and steel into someone else's vision, watching skeletons of buildings become places people live in, laugh in, cheat in. I built half of North Dallas over the last decade, and with my new high-rise residential project finally breaking ground, I was flying in and out of cities like a politician during campaign season. 3 weeks before the launch of my biggest build yet, a multi-million-dollar luxury complex funded by one of the most high-profile clients we'd ever had, I was invited to a party hosted by the lead investor himself, Richard Carmichael. He was a smug, polished man in his late 40s, the type that had never laid brick in his life but loved taking credit for the sweat of others. Still, it was politics. When someone like Carmichael invites you, you show up. So I adjusted my schedule, flew in a day early, and told Elise I'd be back Sunday night. She barely looked up from her laptop. Said she was going to spend the weekend relaxing. I didn't think twice about it. The party was set at a private estate outside Austin, sleek glass walls and valet service, all style and no soul. I pulled in through the main entrance, slowly easing toward the parking circle, when something made me freeze. 50 feet ahead, just outside the front door, a black SUV had pulled up. The back door opened. Elise stepped out. I recognized her posture before her face, the way her hand brushed her hair back. But it wasn't her alone that caught my eye, it was the man who followed. Carmichael. The same Carmichael who'd spent the last 6 months praising my work. The same man I was supposed to have dinner with in 20 minutes. He stepped out casually, walked around the car, and wrapped his arms around her from behind like it was the most natural thing in the world. She leaned into him, laughed, then kissed his neck like she'd done it 100 times. I didn't move. My hands were locked on the steering wheel, breath caught somewhere between shock and fire. She hadn't seen me. Neither had he. They walked inside together, unaware that the man she was married to had just watched her press her face against another man's shoulder. I parked my car out of sight and waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. I stared at the front doors of the house, imagining what was happening on the other side. Her hand in his. Maybe more. Maybe less. It didn't matter. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was woven into the ease of it all. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't conflicted. She looked comfortable. I walked in 20 minutes later like I'd just arrived from the airport. No one looked twice. Carmichael was working the room with his usual arrogance, drink in hand, Elise beside him like a prize he was showing off. She didn't see me right away. She was too busy laughing at something he said, brushing lint off his sleeve, playing the role of the woman she used to be with me. When her eyes finally found mine across the room, everything in her face shifted. It wasn't guilt. It was panic. She knew. In that single glance, she knew I'd seen. But I didn't storm across the room. I didn't punch him in the mouth or drag her out by the wrist. I smiled, walked to the bar, ordered a drink I wouldn't touch. Then I waited for the host to tap the microphone and call for everyone's attention. Carmichael stepped forward to give his self-congratulatory speech about vision and partnership and the power of collaboration. Elise stood to the side, hands clasped like a proud spouse. When he wrapped up with a forced chuckle and the crowd clapped, I took a step forward. He saw me, confused. I asked for the mic. He hesitated, then handed it over, probably thinking I'd say something about the project. Instead, I turned to the crowd, cleared my throat, and said, I want to thank Mr. Carmichael for this party, and for showing me who he really is. The room went still. You see, I thought this man was investing in buildings. Turns out, he's been investing in my wife. Gasps scattered like wind through leaves. Elise's face went ghost white. I didn't look at her. I kept my eyes on Carmichael. I came here tonight to celebrate a partnership, but it looks like that's already been finalized, just not on paper. I dropped the mic on the table, nodded once, and walked out. I didn't go back to the hotel. I didn't check my phone. I got in the car and drove until the sun came up, not caring where I ended up. Somewhere outside Waco, I pulled into a truck stop, bought a coffee I didn't drink, and stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. That was the moment it sank in. I had been building a life out of steel and stone while she was building one out of lies. All the flights, all the missed dinners, all the late-night calls I thought were about clients, they were for him. Or maybe others. I'd been designing towers while she was tearing down the foundation at home. When I got back to Dallas, I didn't go home. I checked into a short-term rental under a different name and started making arrangements. Not revenge. Precision. I canceled my return flight on the Carmichael project, sent a brief, clinical message to my team, and stepped back as quietly as I could. I didn't want Carmichael to know how much power I still held until it was gone. Elise called 17 times. I answered none. Not yet. By Monday morning, the entire city seemed to know. Carmichael's name was buzzing across emails and phones, but not for the reasons he liked. Word had spread fast. The party, the speech, my walk-off. It had become a whisper storm moving through boardrooms, site trailers, and downtown lounges. But I didn't speak to anyone. I stayed quiet and watched everything unfold from a distance. Elise sent me a message that was short, clipped, and full of nothing. We need to talk. She never got the chance. I had already contacted our attorney. I wasn't interested in questions. I wanted separation. Clean, fast, and irreversible. Elise showed up at our house 2 days later while I wasn't there, probably expecting to find some hint of the man she used to manipulate. But I'd already emptied my closet, pulled my name from our joint accounts, canceled every automatic payment that had her signature on it. She came home to silence. No confrontation. No closure. Just absence. That was all I was willing to give her. I didn't want a scene. I wanted a mirror. And for once, she'd have to look at herself in it. As for Carmichael, things moved faster than even I expected. A week after the party, my team withdrew from the project. That might not sound like much to someone outside the business, but when your lead contractor walks, everyone panics. Investors start asking questions. Deadlines shift. Money bleeds. Carmichael called my project manager personally, trying to convince him I was emotional and needed cooling off. But there was no cooling off. There was only collapse. 3 subcontractors followed my lead. The architecture firm delayed approvals. The bank that underwrote the initial funding started reevaluating its terms. It was like watching a building fall from the inside. No explosives, just the quiet snap of beams giving way one by one. I never said a word to the press. I didn't leak anything. I didn't need to. The truth was already moving through the walls like fire through insulation. People love to see powerful men fail, and Carmichael had made enough enemies to guarantee the flames kept spreading. He lost the project. Then the next one. Rumors of unethical behavior surfaced, even if no one could pin them down. He tried to pivot, bring in new partners, but his name no longer carried weight. No one likes doing business with someone who mixes work with someone else's wife. Elise tried to reach me again 2 weeks after the party. She emailed, called from a blocked number, even tried to have one of her friends accidentally bump into me at a coffee shop. I ignored all of it. Eventually, I got a message from her lawyer. She didn't contest the divorce. Maybe she thought she could salvage her image by taking the high road. But it was too late for image. Her circle knew. Her job, high-end hospitality, suffered almost instantly. Clients canceled meetings. She lost 2 major accounts within a month.